This is Houston Newsmakers Extra. I'm talking with Rachel Fischer, and this conversation is one of the more important ones I've had on this program, because as we are in anti-human trafficking awareness month, you, with your history and having been in the life and now out and being a strong advocate on the front lines, what's the difference between human trafficking and prostitution?
Yeah, so prostitution is an industry, right? People have the whole sex worker debate. The easiest way to break it down is if there's two people, somebody who's making a deal with, say sugar baby, sugar daddy situation, right? Two grown adults making a deal. You pay me this, I'll do this for you. Okay, that's somebody who's in a vulnerable situation and needs her needs met. That's a different scenario than if you have a triangle. You have the buyer, the seller, and the sold. Somebody who's facilitating the sale of this person being sold to a buyer, right? So you have a John that's buying somebody from somebody. And so that's the biggest way to understand trafficking is with force, fraud, or coercion. If you're an adult, if you're a child, totally different story. You don't need those elements. You can't sell a child. So the biggest difference is that straight line versus a triangle. It's exploitation if you're selling another individual, and it's a bad set of circumstances if you're in prostitution, and that's the only way that you can make money. But sometimes, it's cultural. It's what you've been born into, family. Like my mother was a prostitute. She was being prostituted, and I just thought she was a prostitute in and out of prison my whole life until I realized, no, she was being prostituted by a criminal organization. There's a difference. She was a victim. So you have to realize that there are other choices. Otherwise, you're just going to continue on in what's comfortable if you think that's your only choice.
Do you have people who tell you you're amazing for what you do in terms of your advocacy work, and how do you deflect that and keep going and focus on what you think has to be done? Yeah,
it's not about me, right? Like I feel like I'm counted worthy to suffer, right? Like God trusted me with this burden so that I can do something with it, so I don't want to waste it. But it's not about me. I survived so much and I'm alive for a reason, and I want to make sure that every day that I'm breathing, that I'm continuing on that purpose. Otherwise, it's wasted.
We talked about the kind of woman who's most vulnerable to something like this, whether it be human trafficking or prostitution, and we've talked about the differences of those things. But you say is it socioeconomic? Is it class? Is it a combination of all of those? Because I know you talked about there are these young women who have no way to get out of it, being pimped, prostituted, whatever, and being taken advantage of by some rich guy from River Oaks who may take a lunch break and go do something with a young lady who's underage. You see that happening.
You do, and that's predominantly what it is. So it's an influx of money coming in from somewhere, right? So you see, we have Bissonnette, which is our track in Houston. It's the main area where people are getting in and out of cars, but you see Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls Royce. You see this influx of money from the higher socioeconomic class coming in and purchasing, right? And then a lot of it's done online. You make dates, you go into the hotels and these high-end restaurants, but it's the demand, it's the hearts of men, the people who are predominantly buying and wanting underage girls for their fetishes, and it just gets more and more perverted. So it's a problem with education awareness, and I would hope that out of 100 men that bought sex in Houston last night, they come in for these conferences and they stay at these hotels and their employers give them girls with their rental car, right? And so it's a very well-known thing, but...
Wait, stop for a second. So you said there's a circumstance where employers end up giving, with cars, they give girls with the...
Yeah.
Really?
So I remember there was times that I would be in a suite and we'd have a champagne glass and we'd be just lined up, and you'd have your own hotel key, and then they'd say, okay, gentlemen, here, pick your girl, go to the room. And so they get to pick the girl and go back. Sex is looked at as, it's all over everywhere. It's accepted, and people have these crazy fetishes with porn and all this influx of brothels and massage businesses. So it's happening. And I would hope that 100 men that paid for it last night, if they knew the story of how the girl got there, that they wouldn't do it, but they just don't know. So it's education to the buyers, the demand, the men. They need to know, who are you buying and why?
They'd have to have a heart, though, too, wouldn't they? In order to be able to understand about the girl, because some of the girls, including yourself, who were in the Surviving Sex Trafficking documentary that I hope you'll be able to watch, when you hear about their lives and how they were impacted, how hurt they have been, and how they wanted to get out and couldn't get out, I was really empathetic. I have a heart. There are a lot of people out there who really just don't care.
Correct. And there's a lot of violence and a lot of really sad, broken people, right? And hurt people hurt people. And so if you got brokenness and broken marriages that push you towards that, you really don't care. You just want that self-gratification and instant gratification. And they truly believe that we want to be there. And I mean, I've done a lot of research with pimps, with Johns, and with the girls to get a really well-rounded, understanding of the problem. And it's really sad when you hear the story of the John. So I do a lot of John outreaches too, and I do work with a lot of the pimps because I really want to understand. But it's a very complex problem, and I mean, there is a story behind every girl of how she got there.
I saw you in your interaction with the guys in the Netherlands, I think it was?
Budapest.
Budapest. It was classic because you went into you changed for the conversation with those guys. And you really, it was good. You got to watch this. You got to watch the way. Is that what you do in order to get the truth from people about what they're doing?
So historically, before I'm in a movie and in a book now, so I can't quite be undercover, but I did a lot of undercover work. So I would go in and I had my undercover name and I would kind of see who's buying and selling these girls and where are they bringing them from. So I did a lot of that. So you kind of have to go into mode, and that wasn't even planned in that segment. I was just walking down the street and these guys are like, hey, you want to come work for my family? You want to make a lot of money? They pulled out cash in front of me and I was like, oh, how much money? And so I just played into it to try to get to see who they are. And apparently it was the biggest, trafficking ring in Hungary. So it was a big deal, but that happens here in Houston. I've done that stuff and those operations here in Houston. And it's the people in the business suits, it's the people driving the nicest cars that you wouldn't think are actually facilitating this, but they are. And it's really, really sad.
What do you most need to help you do what you do at this point?
I'm involved with several nonprofits. Street Grace is one that ends the demand. So there's a lot of recovery groups that do shelters and they do the aftermath. But the nonprofits that target the demand, which is the buyers stopping it before it starts, that's key. So there's a few like Deliver Fund, Street Grace, Demand Disruption. Those are three that target the demand here that help stop it. Like Street Grace has a chat bot that they intercept messages between guys trying to buy sex. And it was like over 10,000 messages that they intercepted between children in our local schools and sex buyers. And so they have this chatbot that runs and they work with law enforcement, but just to see the numbers and to see the scale of how much it happens on the regular here is really scary. So to find a nonprofit like that and just either donate your time, talents, or treasures, whatever it is, just do something. Partner up with somebody that can help.
You said something very interesting on the program that we were recording, when you said, don't start another nonprofit. We got a lot of those. Just find one you can help.
Right.
Rachel Fischer, thank you for what you do. Thank you for using God's grace to do what you do, touching people's lives in a positive way to help them be better. We appreciate you. Houston Newsmakers Extra, it is very important that you share this Newsmakers Extra with everyone you know.